Hi, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of the series, Chat with Daddy. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to keep that name, but that's what we're going with so far. In this series, we have chats with littles, middles, and pets. I was actually thinking that in the future, I would also have some chats with daddies and caregivers. So if anybody out there knows any daddies or caregivers that would be interested in chatting with me, stay tuned to the end of the conversation to find out how to get in contact with me. Now, without further ado, here's the second installment. Okay, so I'd like to thank you so much for joining me today for this chat. It's a real pleasure for having you here today. If you could introduce yourself, maybe with your little name and age or your pet name.
Yeah, I'm Sabrina, also known as Princess as my little name. My age ranges from about 2 to 3 or 4 years old as a little, and then I am a cat, and my name as a pet is Kitten, and my real name is Sabrina, which I'm positive I said before, and I'm 26 years old.
That's awesome. And so, what came first, the little side or the pet side?
I'm pretty sure it was the pet side first because it sounds really strange, but when I was younger, I always would mimic other animals of all kinds. And as I got older, I started getting more into the pet space sort of thing, uh, more or less finding out that I'm a furry as well, and
Okay.
then kind of indulged into that, which then proceeded to go into me being more pet space and into like um the adult side of things.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting. So, when it comes to the pet side, you mentioned like you're mimicking and that kind of stuff. So when did it actually like are do you do kitten ears and makeup and that kind of stuff now? Has it progressed to that?
Yes, I have my own cat ears and cat tail. I have my own little cat language
Oh yeah,
that my
cat.
partner actually loves to pieces. He thinks it's the cutest thing in the world.
Would you be able to share a little bit of your cat language?
Sure. So, instead of master, I go nyasta.
Okay, that's adorable. Okay,
Waffles, I say meowfles.
okay, that's
So I
adorable.
kind of like interact with the nyans and the meows with that sort of thing.
That's awesome. And is this something you guys discovered together, or is this something you brought up to him?
Um, did bring it up to him just briefly, and then he started just playing around with the idea. And then ever since then, he's just like, nah, I really like this. Let's keep going with it.
That's amazing. It sounds like you hit the jackpot there.
A
And
100%.
yeah, and when it comes to age regression, is he also supportive of that? Is he aware of it?
He is aware and yeah, he is very supportive as well. He calls me princess a lot when it comes to the nighttime routine because if I slowly settle down, it doesn't work very well with sleeping. So he's just like, "Not, you need to calm down, princess. It's time to settle down. I'll read you a story. Let's get you all dressed up and all the rest of it." So cute.
That does sound really adorable. So, what does your nighttime routine look like for you two?
Because we're a long distance relationship, it's all online, sadly. He always makes sure that I have had my shower or bath. I've brushed my teeth and brushed my hair. And then he would ask me if I've gone to the bathroom because I do occasionally forget that I need to go do that, being somewhat incontinent.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's great that he's
And
supportive and there for you. That's awesome.
it is. He then reminds me to take my medication after all of that. And then he starts reading me. story, which I like taking photos of all my favorite books and sending it to him. And
Wow.
then he reads it from the photos that I've sent.
That sounds like a fantastic bedtime routine.
I absolutely love it.
So, speaking of, what's your favorite bedtime storybook?
Oh, I think it would have to be 10 Apples Up on Top by Dr. Seuss.
Oh, I'm definitely familiar with Dr. Seuss, but I don't know if I've read that one before. Actually, I might have. I just forget probably because I've read a lot of the Dr. Seuss books. Um,
There are all of them,
they're pretty awesome. They're really fun. So
definitely.
yeah. So when it comes to age regression, do you have an attire that you usually like to go for, like onesies and that kind of passies, or is it mostly just headspace?
Um, it is usually mainly headspace, but I do have my own onesies and overalls and diapers and nappies and that sort of thing and passies and my own bottle that I like to put my milk in and heat up and yeah.
Super adorable. So back to your partner, is this the first partner you shared pet play and age play with?
It, he is my second partner to share this sort of stuff with. My first partner wasn't as supportive with the age play side of things. He didn't understand it, but each to their own.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Um,
And then, I mean, I think society itself sometimes have a hard time with it, which is very unfortunate. But I think it's just lack of information, right? I think people just don't understand,
Definitely.
and people get scared sometimes of things they don't understand, which is
Oh, yeah,
very unfortunate for a lot of people out there. Hmm.
it
So,
is, sadly.
hmm
Luckily, there's a lot of information out there now.
so much, which is so great. It used to be that there wasn't very much, and now I feel that people are coming out more, which is awesome. Yes. So how, speaking of information online, how do you educate yourself when it comes to pet play and DDLG? Are you part of any communities? Are there any places that you tend to go to?
Yeah, there is. I go to Little's Down Under in Brendale. Yeah, in
Mm-hmm.
Brendale. And they sell all the Australian um, diapers, onesies, passies, bottles, hair clips, and all sorts of things like that. And most of the time on a Friday, they do little barbecues
Oh,
just for us littles to get together, just have a bit of fun.
that's super great. So you've been out in public to events then?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And how do those work out? Because I've actually never been to a Littles event. They have them here, but because I currently don't have a little, but I dated a couple littles in the past, and we never had the opportunity to go to one of those. So I'm actually curious to see what your experience is with events like that.
When I first went, it was very nerve-wracking, as everything is when you're first going, you don't know what to expect. But
Hmm.
they were so welcoming. They were just like, yeah, come on in, like, have a look around, interact. We're all happy to help when you need it and whatever else. And oh, it was just so nice. And the food was amazing. Can never complain about food.
Yes, well, that's great.
Oh,
And because you that's like a Littles event. Have you been to any pet play events?
um, not really, because I haven't really found any, sadly enough. But I have been looking online. I found a mixture of pet play and little space stuff, and it's called KangaCon, and they have
Oh,
that event. It's like a camp for a weekend, and everyone gets together in this one spot in Australia. But I
wow.
just haven't been able to gather the money to go on it just yet.
That sounds super interesting. I don't know if we have these kinds of events in Canada. I just had an interview with another pet, and she had mentioned she goes to these play parties. So I guess we have these play parties here in Canada. And she was describing it a little bit, and it just seemed like an event where people kind of gather and just chat and stuff. And yeah, she gets to go as a pet, which is kind of fun. So I guess
Sounds so cool.
they do have them once in a while everywhere, I guess. Yeah. So when it comes to an emotional escape, 'cause I know a lot of people that do role play like that, like either age regression or pet play. It's often a way, like a therapeutic or a way to escape. Do you find that true for yourself?
I do. I really do. Especially coming from um somewhat of a traumatic past. It helps me to go back to a time where everything was a lot simpler and just safer.
Mm-hmm. I think
It
uh, I
does
think
something.
I think it's a pretty common consensus, feeling safe in those worlds, in that world. And I think that's a big reason why I think I enjoy being a caregiver is I enjoy giving that safety, and I have dated people with traumatic pasts, and my role in that, I've always felt comfortable kind of being there for that person, so I can kind of see how on your side of it, yeah, it would be kind of a release or just to be taken care of. Hmm. Do you have? Actually, I got this question here. It's kind of fun. Um, do you have any stories or anything that comes to mind of one of your favorite experiences as a little or as a pet or as both?
I think my favorite experience that I've had as a pet would be somewhat embarrassing for most people, but I find it very exhilarating. Was with my ex because he preferred the pet play. We went out to one of the parks, and that's where I did pull out my collar. I'm like, I'm gonna put this on, and you can have the lead. Do what you want, I don't mind. So I put the collar on, and he looked at me like, oh, you're in for it. So then he led me around the whole park and just treated me like a little dumb pet. And like, not so much a dumb pet, but like a pet that needed to be trained. And I was just so full of energy that night.
Oh, that's adorable. And if this is too personal, you don't need to answer. But when you're a pet in public like that, do you also go on all fours?
Um, it's a mixture. Sometimes if I get really into the space, I will. But if I'm not so into it, then I'll stay on the two legs. But I do find myself eating like pet. Like if I'm at McDonald's or something like that, I find myself pouring all my chips on fries onto the paper bag and start eating it without any hands, just picking it up in my mouth and eating it like that.
That must be challenging.
It is a challenge. People do give me funny looks,
Oh, it doesn't
but
matter what people say or think, as long as you're having a good
I'm
time.
I'm not hurting anyone, so what does it matter?
Exactly. And the I was speaking to a pet yesterday, and she mentioned that she really enjoys eating from the floor when she called her partner owner. So when her owner put food on the floor, that was a big trigger for her. Have you ever tried that, eating from the
I
floor?
I actually have my own bowls, my own food and water bowl.
Okay, that's adorable. And how is it eating from a bowl on the floor? Is it challenging?
Really, especially when it's got a wider rim,
Yeah.
so that way I can actually fit my face into it. But
And I need to ask, do the bowls have your name on it?
not exactly my name, but it does have my nickname as a pet. So
Can you remind me what that is again?
Kitten.
Kitten, that's it. So it has kitten on it. That's adorable. That's
Yeah.
super cute. Yes. So when it comes to back to age aggression, you mentioned onesies and passies and diapies. Do you get in that headspace with props on your own as well, or do you do that just with a partner most of the time?
I can do it on my own, but it feels a lot better with the partner as they are they're keeping an eye on you where you don't have to be in between spaces and making sure that you're still in the safe area and you never know what could be lurking around. And that's probably just my brain going, are you sure you're okay here? Are
But I think that's
you
part of the
sure
being.
you're alone?
Yes, I think that's part of being in that headspace too. I think that's how the kind of vulnerability. Like, what are your favorite things to do to get you in that headspace?
I get out my coloring books and my art books and I just doodle into them and I put on either a kids show or a movie, like a Barbie movie, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And my go-to movie at the moment is what's it called? It was Barbie in Mermaidia. So it's in
What's
like a trilogy. So yeah.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
It's when Barbie gets trades her wings in for a tail and helps save Mermaidia, which is a mermaid kingdom.
Oh, that's fun. Um, do you ever feel guilt or shame associated to age regression or pet play?
I used to. I used to feel it a lot, thinking, am I, why am I doing this? Why am I like this? Why can't I just be normal for a change? Everyone has their own little secrets. What does
Mm-hmm.
it matter?
Exactly. So I guess that's how you cope with it is just kind of tell yourself that it doesn't matter. That's a great coping mechanism for not coping mechanism. I said that wrong. It's a great way to look at it. I find. Have you gotten any negative feedback or anything negative from other people to make you feel that way?
Yeah, yes, I have.
Oh, can you share that with
Um,
us?
so I did try and share it with some of my friends at the time and just be like, hey, this is this is what I'm doing. It's one of my coping mechanisms just to de-stress, just enjoy a little bit of time to myself. They looked at me like, what are you doing? You're indulging something so childish. Are you feeling the same way towards younger people? And obviously that's a complete wrong way to look at it.
Yeah,
The way they thought that about me really it cuts deep.
it really does. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Mm.
But once I actually explained it to them a bit more and showed them all this different information on why and how it helps, and that
Mm.
has nothing related with that situation,
Mm-hmm.
they did understand a little bit more, but that's when we cut ties.
Okay, so you had to cut ties with those people.
We
Oh,
did.
okay. Well, that's sad, but it might have been for the best for you though, because yeah, it's that's not fun when that kind of stuff happens. It's unfortunate people just don't get it, even when they're presented with the proper information. Hmm.
Oh,
Do you believe that age aggression should be more accepted and understood by others?
definitely, of course.
I
I
agree.
don't understand why it hasn't yet. I think
Hmm.
it's mainly because social media is like, this is what you should be doing, and all the other stuff is wrong. Do what we show you. So
Hmm.
it keeps everyone in the same mindset. But the
Hmm.
thing is, we're all different.
Exactly. That's a great statement. We are all different, and people should be more understanding. How do you think we should educate people when it comes to age aggression and that kind of stuff?
Well, when I first found out, I was a complete utter mess. I thought I was the biggest freak in the world. But when I had a friend who told me about his side, he he assured me that it's actually perfectly normal. It's fine. You don't need to stress. And
Mm-hmm.
then after I found out from him that he was a little as well, I started doing my own sort of research. And that was through the internet, Facebook, going into Facebook community groups, going on to Instagram, finding other community groups on that, finding, I found out there's a lot of books out there too,
Yeah.
but the
I
same sort of thing.
Oh, I actually never really looked into books about. That's really weird now that I'm thinking about it. I never went down that rabbit hole of. Is there a book that you could recommend to other listeners?
Um, there was one that I had on Amazon. One second, I'm just gonna.
I think it'd be good for our audience to because I don't even know of any books.
I can't find the exact one,
Mm-hmm.
but there is one called So Your Husband is ABDL, A Wife's Guide for Loving and Caring, I believe it's called.
Oh, that sounds really interesting.
Loving and Learning Diaper Discipline. So,
Oh, I wonder if any of our readers actually read that one. If anybody has, maybe they can leave comments in the comment or in the comment section. And so yeah, so do you ever experience any like when you do your age regression? Do you experience any nostalgia coming from it?
I do.
Yeah. What's the most
Um,
nostalgic thing do you find when you go into the little space?
Most nostalgic thing. Um, Probably just being able to do what a kid wants and being the me that I always used to be. So I would go outside and play in the mud and ride my bike and stack it and just get all these scrapes and bruises. I get up, dust myself off, and start running again.
Nice. So I need to know, when's the last time you went in the mud?
When I'm not in little space, um, I think the last time I did that was nearly 10 years ago
Oh
when we
wow.
had the flood,
So when's the last time you did it in little space? Is this recent?
probably about 2 or 3 months ago now.
Okay. What's the weather like in Australia this time of the year?
Right now it's quite sunny because we're just turning into spring.
Okay, it's right down under. Spring is coming. That's right.
We're about to hit more rainy season, another rainy season, which is in between November and December.
Oh, that's when the rain boots come out and all the puddles get stomped in.
That's usually when the floods happen.
Oh no, is it, are you in a flood area? Is that lots of floods happening
I'm
over
not
there? Okay, good.
fully.
So do you have any um, suggestions or ideas or any recommendations for anybody wanting to get into pet play or DDLG or age regression?
All I can really say is just go at your own pace. Discover things how you would normally do as a kid. And for me, with Pet Space, I used to mimic a lot of animals. And because I was always interested in that. Little did I know I was going to be into it.
Yeah. I think it's for a lot of people, and including daddies or caregivers, because I never thought I'd be in this role, and I really enjoy it, truly enjoy it. It's something that has brought me a lot of joy in the past, and hopefully future. So yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that pretty much concludes the interview. Is there anything that you'd like to add? Any tidbits or stories or?
All I can say, just be yourself.
Oh yes, I agree 100%. That's a great statement because I think people really need to be themselves and
A lot of people forget about that.
yeah, and to stop caring what people think so much sometimes because there's a lot of hate in this world and there's too much and people should just give that up and just let people be people and however they want to be.
Definitely, definitely.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and if anybody out there has any feedback or comments, please leave in the comment section.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it was my pleasure having you. This concludes the second episode of the series. For anybody out there that wishes to participate, please send me an email to the email address in the description below. I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. So to everybody out there, thanks for listening, and I hope you're having a great week. Mwah.